My name is Rabbi Stephen Leon. I am the founder, director, and the rabbi of the Anusim Center Synagogue, 1665 Futurity Drive, Sunland Park, New Mexico. And this podcast is called The Secret Jews of the Southwest. The purpose of this podcast is to inform people, inspire people, let people know, and bring people together to talk about and to learn about the secret Jews of the Southwest. This is a phenomenon that many people do not have any idea about whatsoever. Let me give you a little bit of that background. The English word obviously is secret Jews. There is a politically correct term called crypto Jews. There is also a Hebrew word called Bnei Anusim. And originally, the term was called Marranos. Now, who were those people? These were the descendants of the victims of the Spanish Inquisition, who, beginning in 1391, the expulsion in 1492, 5 years later, the expulsion from Portugal, and actually the Inquisition continued through the 19th century. That was the plan of the church to forcibly convert Jewish people to Christianity. And they used a variety of means to do so, including torture, burning people alive at the stake, embarrassing them in public, and ultimately forcing them to leave both Spain and Portugal. Now, many of those people kept their Judaism secretly to keep themselves alive. And that is why they're called crypto Jews, why they're called Bnei Anusim, which means children of those who were forced to do something against their will, or actually raped, which is being forced to do something terrible against your will, was because the conversion was forced upon them. And they wanted to initially, of course, to keep that identity, but not to lose their lives. And so that is what they did. And centuries passed, 500 years passed, in some cases even longer passed. And they were still carrying on these traditions secretly, but after a while they did not even know why they were carrying on these traditions while they were observant, and some were very observant Catholics. Why were they not eating pork, for instance? There's nothing wrong with pork on a Christian diet. In a Jewish diet, it's forbidden. Why were they not mixing milk and meat in their diet? Again, a prohibition only in the Jewish faith. Why were they lighting candles on Friday night, which was not part of the Christian tradition? Why were they sitting on low benches and covering mirrors when somebody died? A Jewish tradition. Why, when they entered the house, instead of kissing the mezuzah, which was the doorpost which contained the Hebrew words, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one," why did they hide that mezuzah in Madonna's foot? Why? And what happened was they became curious, and the crypto Jews began very slowly to learn a little bit more about these traditions that that were part of their lives, part of their history, part of their family, part of their culture. Now, I come into the picture because as someone who grew up in the Northeast, born in Brooklyn, New York, raised in Bridgeport, Connecticut, my first pulpit was in New Jersey, I never met anyone that had crypto-Jewish background until I came to El Paso, Texas. And I met someone whose family was lighting candles on Friday night. I met someone else who was covering mirrors when someone died. And I met another person who was wearing a large Jewish star around his neck. And these people did not know why they were doing these things, except in the case of the last one, when his grandmother, who was a Christian, told this young man that the Jewish star had been in their families for centuries, and she wanted him to choose it as part of his faith. So what I have learned is that there are thousands upon thousands of people who are who were Jewish once. In my belief, they're still Jewish in their hearts, but they have been observing Christianity and perhaps other faith groups. And now is a time that they can learn and practice if they want to, or at least learn about these traditions. So the purpose of this podcast is to open the eyes not only of those people, but especially people here in the Southwest. Why the Southwest? When the expulsion from Spain took place in 1492 and a few years later in Portugal, the crypto Jews had no place to go except where they would feel welcome. They could be persecuted in places that would not welcome them. And so they would tend to go to places where people spoke Spanish or had Hispanic foods or had Hispanic cultures or Latino traditions, etc., where they might have shared the same language or food or culture. And in this part of the world, so some went to South America and to other Spanish-speaking places, in Puerto Rico, the Azores, etc. But in this part of the world, they came to the Southwest, to a community of El Paso, which is largely Hispanic, on the border of Mexico and New Mexico. And I began to discover them, and I want you to learn about them. So the podcast is an opportunity we can share things together. I would not be surprised, and according to statistics, the population of, let's say, a community like El Paso or Juarez, where there are El Paso has 750,000 people, and Juarez has something like over 1 million people, that minimally 10, but maybe as much as 25% of the population, even though they may be following Christianity or another faith, actually have Jewish roots. And I want people to learn about these Jewish roots. And this goes throughout the world. If there are people in other places in the world that want to learn about this phenomenon, this is a perfect place to do it. I plan to teach people music of the crypto Jews, some of the special foods that come from crypto Jewish tradition that we may actually be part of other traditions, but they originated with the Jewish community. I want people to learn about their history. I want them to learn about even their genetics, the DNA. That has been another way for people to learn of their identity. What percentage of them come from the Sephardic or Spanish Jewish community? I want people to learn, most importantly, that the more we learn together about each other's faith, the more that we can have a society where people have respect for one another. We're not asking people to come to Judaism. We're asking them if they want to learn more about it, and they are welcome. And they're welcome in this Anusim Center Synagogue that we have started. We have services for the holidays, for Sabbath, for special occasions, and in Spanish, Hebrew, English, and Ladino. If you want to become a member of that particular community, the Anusim Center, anybody is welcome. And we don't charge dues. All you have to do is make a donation, tell us you would like to become part of us, and that would be fine. You can do so through email. My email is Rabbi Sal, Rabbi, S as in Stephen, A-L, at AOL.com. Or my address, Rabbi Stephen Leon, at 321 Sundown Place, El Paso, Texas, 79912. Or visit us at our Anusim Center Synagogue, 1665 Futurity Drive in Sunland Park, New Mexico. So once again, let's share together our culture. Let's share together our values. Let's share together our traditions. Let's share together respect. We're living at a time where, unfortunately, there's a lot of division in this world. There's a lot of division in our country. Let's bring that together. This is a wonderful way to do it, to see that we have common heritage, and everything is based on love and compassion and trust and honesty. These are the values that we can all share together, and it'd be wonderful if we could return to that, just as it would be wonderful if many of the crypto Jews can return to those traditions, and at the same time, if all of us can return to those values that we have been taught from generation to generation to be good and kind and loving and peaceful to one another. That to me is what this podcast is all about, and that to me is something so very important. I hope you will follow the podcast, and I hope that we can communicate together and bring this world together and bring peace to mankind.